The elevator doors slid open on the 22nd floor of the Loop's glass monolith. And there she was, Jordan Hale, my desk neighbor for 2 hellish years, clutching a bouquet of wilting daisies like they were her last lifeline. Her voice cracking as she blurted, "Brianna, I love you. I've loved you since that godforsaken team-building retreat in Milwaukee." I froze, coffee sloshing over the rim of my mug. The entire open-plan office snapping to a collective hush that felt like the world holding its breath. Because who drops a bomb like that at 8:47 a.m. on a Tuesday? And then, because my brain short-circuited under the fluorescent glare and the stares of 30 suits pretending not to eavesdrop, I laughed a sharp, involuntary bark and said, "Hell yeah, Jordan. Let's do this," as if it were just another pitch meeting gone sideways. That yes hung in the air like exhaust fumes from the Dan Ryan Expressway. Toxic and impossible to ignore. Brianna Washington, queen of sarcasm and spreadsheets, had just greenlit a confession I didn't even see coming. Jordan's face lit up like the bean at midnight. Her green eyes, usually buried in code reviews or buried deeper in her quiet melancholy, sparkling with something dangerously close to hope. She thrust the daisies at me, petals shedding like confetti from a bad party. And before I could backpedal, she was hugging me, her lavender shampoo mixing with the stale office air in a way that made my stomach twist. The whispers started immediately. By lunch, HR had pinged us both with a discreet memo about workplace romance policies, and Sarah from accounting slid into my Slack with a winky emoji and "girl, spill." I played it off as a prank in my head, me, straight as the metro tracks, joking my way out of awkwardness like always. But Jordan, she dove in headfirst. No life vest. That afternoon, she suggested coffee after work. Her voice all soft Chicago vowels, the kind that wrap around you like a bear's scarf on a sub-zero day. I said sure. Why not? It was just coffee. Harmless. We ended up at a hole-in-the-wall spot in Wicker Park. The kind with mismatched mugs and baristas who looked like they moonlighted in indie bands. Jordan talked, God. Did she talk about how she'd noticed me from day one? Back when I was the new hire fumbling through my first client demo. Sweat beading under my braids. You owned that room, Bree, she said, stirring her latte with a fervor that bordered on religious. Your laugh. The way you call bullshit on bad ideas without apology. Thought, this woman's gonna change everything. I nodded, zipping my black drip, feeling like an imposter in my own skin. What was I supposed to say? That I'd barely registered her beyond the quiet coder who fixes my macros? By the end of the week, it snowballed. Jordan showed up at my door in Logan Square with takeout from that soul food joint on Division, collards and cornbread, my weakness, and a playlist she'd curated. All Nina Simone and Hozier tracks that hit like a gut punch. We ate on my thrift store couch, the TV droning some Netflix true crime in the background, and she leaned in, tentative as a first snowfall, her lips brushing mine. It was soft, exploratory, tasting like spiced rum impossibility. My body betrayed me, heart hammering, skin prickling, and for a split second, I kissed back. Not the joke. The real thing. Panic set in at dawn. I bolted upright in my queen-sized bed, Jordan's arms slung possessively over my waist, her breathing steady and trusting. What the hell had I done? I wasn't. This wasn't me. I dated guys, reliable, predictable types like Marcus from college, who proposed with a Cubs ticket stub and a promise of stability. But Jordan, she was chaos wrapped in corduroy. A freelance graphic designer moonlighting in tech because corporate pays the bills, but art feeds the soul. I slipped out, left a note about an early meeting, and ghosted her texts until noon. When I finally replied, "Sorry, work emergency," she responded with a heart emoji and, "Miss you already," guilt gnawed at me like Lake Michigan wind. To the office. The dynamic shifted. Jordan's cubicle, once a fortress of dual monitors and dog-eared sci-fi novels, now bloomed with our inside jokes. A daisy pressed in her planner. A sticky note with my initials doodled like a secret code. Colleagues ribbed us gently. Lovebirds taking over the break room? I forced laughs. But inside, I was unraveling. Every glance she stole my way, hopeful, hungry, felt like a spotlight on my fraud. Yet, there were moments. Her hand brushing mine during a late-night debug session, the way she'd hum off-key to the radio while we grabbed falafel from the truck on Randolph. It stirred something dormant, a flicker I chalked up to novelty, like trying escargot at that French place in River North. 2 weeks in, the cracks showed. We were at a work happy hour in the West Loop, fairy lights strung over craft IPAs, when Marcus, ex-boyfriend Marcus, fresh off a promotion at his law firm, sauntered up, all pressed chinos and easy charm. Brianna Washington. As I live and breathe. Still breaking hearts. The air kissed my cheek, oblivious to Jordan stiffening beside me. I introduced them, awkward as hell, and watched the color drain from her face as Marcus regaled us with stories of our wild college days, nights at the Green Mill, his hand in mine under the stars. Jordan excused herself to the bathroom, and I followed, finding her in the dim hallway, eyes glassy. "It's nothing," I lied, but she shook her head. Auburn strands falling like autumn leaves. "You're not over him. Or anyone. It's a rebound. Isn't it?" Her voice was a whisper, laced with that Midwestern politeness masking a storm. I opened my mouth to deny it, but the word stuck. 'Cause maybe it was. Or maybe it wasn't. Jordan. She touched my arm. Electric. "Tell me you feel it too." "Even a little." I did. "God help me." I did. So I pulled her close, kissed her fierce against the graffiti-scrawled wall, tasting salt and IPA and the bitter edge of fear. We stumbled back to my place that night, shedding clothes like old skins, her body a map of freckles and curves I traced with trembling fingers. It was messy, urgent, her gasps echoing off my exposed brick walls, my name a prayer on her lips. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, she murmured, "I knew you'd say yes for real someday." My chest ached. Someday. But some days have a way of curdling. Enter Elena Vasquez, Jordan's ex from her undergrad days at DePaul, tall, Latina firecracker with a laugh like mariachi bells, and a corner office at a rival agency downtown. Elena dropped by the office unannounced one crisp October morning, all designer heels clicking like accusations, bearing a bottle of Malbec and a smile sharp as the Willis Tower's edge. "Jojo, heard you're off the market." "Who's the lucky girl?" She eyed me over her aviators, and Jordan flushed crimson, stammering introductions. I should have clocked it then, the way Elena lingered, her hand on Jordan's elbow a beat too long, the inside jokes laced with history. But I was too busy drowning in my own doubts, snapping at Jordan over trivial shit like who forgot to empty the dishwasher at my apartment. "You're pushing me away," she'd say, voice small over takeout tie. And I'd deflect with work stress, the endless churn of quarterly reports and client fires. Truth was, Elena's shadow loomed, stirring my insecurities into a froth. What if Jordan regretted us? What if I was just the punchline to her heartbreak? The betrayal hit like a Black Friday stampede. It was mid-November. The city dusted in that first deceptive snow. When I stumbled into the hideout for an afterwork set, Jordan had texted about surprising me with tickets to see her favorite folk band. But there she was, not with me in mind, but pressed against Elena in a shadowed booth, their laughter cutting through the twang of banjo strings. Elena's fingers trailed Jordan's neck, intimate as a secret, and Jordan leaned in, eyes half-lidded, lost in whatever ghost of a flame they'd reignited. My blood roared louder than the amp feedback. I turned on my heel, boots crunching salt on the sidewalk, hailing a cab through blurring tears. How could she, after everything, the night she'd whispered my name like a vow? I didn't confront her that night. Instead, called Marcus, voice slurred with cheap bourbon from my corner liquor store. Pick me up. I need to forget. He did. Because that's what exes do, they're reliable wreckage. We ended up at his sleek Gold Coast condo. The kind with skyline views and zero soul. His hands familiar on my skin as we fumbled through the motions. It was mechanical. Empty. A desperate bid to erase Jordan's touch. But every thrust, every gasp that wasn't hers, carved deeper into the hollow I'd become. Dawn found me staring at the ceiling, Marcus snoring beside me, the weight of my own hypocrisy crushing like the L train overhead. I joked my way into her heart, then shattered it with my cowardice. Now, I'd betrayed her right back. Word travels fast in our tight-knit tech circle. By Monday, the office buzzed like a hive on fire, whispers of throuple drama and pitying glances. Jordan avoided my desk, her cubicle a barren outpost, the daisy long gone. I cornered her in the stairwell at lunch, the echo of our footsteps a grim duet. How long? I demanded, voice raw as the windy city's gales. She looked wrecked, dark circles under those green eyes, her bob unkempt like she'd been clawing at it in the dark. A week. Elena texted, said she was in town. It was stupid. Brie. A lapse. But you've been pulling away for months. Me? You're the one who ran back to your ex. The words exploded, ricocheting off concrete walls. Because I needed to feel wanted. You treat this like a game. Let's see if straight girl Brianna can play pretend. I'm not an experiment. Brianna. I fell for you. Hard. And it hurts like hell. Her tears fell fast, unchecked, and something in me fractured. We didn't speak for days after that. Chicago hunkered into winter, the lake a frozen gray mirror to my soul. Work became a blur of deadlines and denial. I buried myself in code, ignoring the ache that bloomed every time I caught her silhouette in the break room. Holidays loomed like indictments. Thanksgiving with my folks in Englewood. All turkey and football and questions about that nice girl from work. I dodged, claiming overtime. But the isolation festered. One night, scrolling through old texts, her good morning memes, the photo of us at the Art Institute. Lips blue from hot chocolate. I broke. Dialed her number at 2 a.m. Voicemail my confessor. Jordan. I was scared. Of me. Of us. But I love you. For real this time. Call me back. She didn't. Not until Christmas Eve, when a knock rattled my door through a blizzard. There she stood, snow-capped like a fallen angel, holding a small wrapped box and eyes that held galaxies of hurt. I got your message, she said. stepping inside without invitation, the chill clinging to her parka. We sat on the floor amid twinkling lights from my half-assed tree. The box revealing a leather-bound journal, pages filled with sketches of us. My laugh lines exaggerated. Her freckles mapped like constellations. I started this when you said yes. Thought it'd help me remember the good parts. If it ended, I traced a drawing of our first kiss. Throat tight. It wasn't a joke, Jordan. Not after that night. I was terrified of labels, of losing the life I knew. But losing you? That's the real nightmare. She searched my face, vulnerable as fresh snow. Then stay. No jokes. No running. We kissed then. Slow and searing. The storm outside paling against the one we'd weathered. It wasn't fireworks, it was hearthfire steady, warming the bones. We talked till dawn. About Elena, a misguided comfort. Nothing more. About Marcus, my rock bottom. About the queer undercurrents I'd ignored since my auntie's stories of Stonewall over sweet tea. Jordan shared her fears too. The ex who gaslit her out of the closet. The family back in Naperville who still whispered phase. We weren't fixed. But we were forging something real. Humanistic in its mess. Two women. Flawed and fierce. Choosing each other in a city that chewed up dreams and spat out survivors. Spring thawed us out. By April, we were official hand-in-hand at Pride on Halstead. Rainbow flags whipping like promises. The office adapted. HR even hosted a diversity lunch that felt less performative than before. I quit fighting the labels. Embracing the woman who'd cracked my armor with a bouquet and a brave heart. Jordan bloomed too, quitting corporate for full-time design. Her Etsy shop of queer-themed prints selling out faster than deep dish at Lou Malnati's. One humid July evening, as fireflies danced over Grant Park, she dropped to one knee amid the Jazz Fest crowd, not with daisies, but a vintage ring etched with yes. For real. Laughter bubbled from me, pure and unjaded. Hell yeah, I said, pulling her up into the chaos of cheers and brass horns. No jokes this time. Just us falling harder. Together. Into whatever came next. But whatever came next wasn't the neat bow Hollywood ties on these tales. Chicago's summer simmered with unspoken tensions. The kind that build like thunderheads over the lake. We'd patched the wounds. Sure, therapy sessions squeezed between deadlines. Date nights at hidden gems like the Violet Hour with its speakeasy hush, but betrayal's scar tissue itched. Jordan threw herself into her art. Her studio apartment in Ukrainian village, a riot of canvases depicting us in abstract glory. Bold strokes of midnight blue for my skin against her pale dawn. I watch her sometimes, brush in hand, lost in creation, and feel that old flicker of awe mixed with dread. What if I couldn't keep up? What if my ambition, climbing the ladder at Innovatech, gunning for senior analyst, eclipsed us? Elena didn't vanish like a bad plot twist. She lingered on the periphery, popping up in Jordan's DMs with innocent check-ins. Saw your exhibit promo, proud of you. Joe. I'd snoop guiltily. Always deleting the history. My jealousy a low hum like the L rumbling past. One night, after a gallery opening in Pilsen where Jordan's pieces drew murmurs of raw and intimate, Elena cornered us by the tamale stand outside. You two look good, she said. All olive skin glowing under string lights. Her smile a velvet glove over steel. Brianna. Right? Joe's told me. Everything. The ellipsis hung heavy, implying volumes. Jordan tensed beside me, her fingers squeezing mine like a lifeline. I forced a grin. All good things. I hope, but inside, The old insecurities roared back. Was I the punchline again? The straight girl curiosity who'd stumbled into their history? We fought that night. Words flying like confetti from a popped balloon. Back at my place, the AC wheezing against the heat, Jordan paced the living room, her sundress swirling. Elena's just a friend now. Why do you let her get under your skin? Because she's your past. And I'm. What? The intermission. My voice cracked, betraying the vulnerability I'd armored against since girlhood, raised on Southside stoicism, where emotions were luxuries for folks with trust funds. Jordan stopped, her eyes flashing hurt. You're my now, Brie. My future. But you have to trust me. Like I trusted you after Marcus. The name landed like a slap. Fair. But it stung. We made up in the shower. Steam curling around us like forgiveness. Her body pressing mine against the tiles, wet, yielding. A language beyond words. But trust? That was the ghost in our machine. Flickering in the quiet hours. Fall brought change. Innovatech merged with a Silicon Valley giant. And suddenly I was jetting to Palo Alto for integration workshops, schmoozing VCs in hoodies who eyed me like the diversity hire I sometimes felt I was. Jordan stayed put. Her freelance gigs stacking up. But the distance gnawed. Text turned terse. Miss you became busy day. Video calls glitched with lag. Her face pixelated. Mine a mask of exhaustion. On my last night in California, holed up in a sterile hotel overlooking the bay, I caved, swiped right on a flirty barista I bantered with at the conference coffee bar. Her name was Riley. 24. All sun-bleached blonde and easy California drawl. Texting me memes about corporate soul-sucking. It was harmless. I told myself. Flirtation as armor against the loneliness. But harmless doesn't fly across time zones. Jordan found out via a mutual friend from the gallery scene. Riley, turned out, was a serial dater with a trail of exes venting on Reddit's Bay Area queer threads. The call came at 3 a.m. My time. Jordan's voice a wire-thin blade. Is it true? Some app hookup while you're out there networking? I sat up. Sheets tangling like accusations. It was nothing. A few messages. I swear. Nothing? Like your yes was nothing? Like Marcus was nothing? Her sob sliced through the static. Raw and ragged. I thought we'd grown past this. We have. It's just the pressure. The merger's killing me. And you're so steady. So you. I felt small. Lame excuse. Even to my ears. Small? Brianna. Love isn't a competition. But betrayal? That's a choice. She hung up. The silence deafening as a dropped call in the dead of night. I flew home the next day. Red ice and regret shadowing me like contrails. Logan Square greeted me with crisp leaves skittering like fleeing thoughts. But Jordan's door stayed shut. Days blurred into a penance. Unanswered texts. Flowers returned unopened. My apologies echoing in voicemails that went straight to delete. Work suffered. I botched a presentation. Earning a sidelong glance from my boss. The kind that whispers, diversity hires don't get second chances. I'd wander the 606 trail. Earbuds blasting Solange to drown the what-ifs. Passing couples hand in hand and wondering how we'd devolved into this. The climax crashed in December. A week before the office holiday party. I'd cornered Jordan at her studio, uninvited. Desperate, the space thick with turpentine and half-finished portraits of fractured hearts. She looked smaller somehow. Swallowed by an oversized sweater. her bob grown out into waves that framed a face etched with exhaustion. "We need to talk," I pleaded, snow melting off my boots onto her drop cloths. "What's left to say?" She set down her palette knife, arms crossing like a barrier. "You keep choosing fear over us." I stepped closer, the air humming with unsaid things. "I choose you now. Every day." Riley was a mistake, a panic attack in pixels. "But you? You're my anchor." Tears pricked, hot and unbidden. "Remember Milwaukee? That retreat where you confessed?" I said yes as a joke, but it unlocked me. Showed me I could want more than safe. "Want you?" Her resolve cracked. "Just a hair." "Then why does it feel like I'm always waiting for the punchline?" "Because I'm scared shitless of messing up the best thing I've got. But losing you? That's the real joke on me." We stood there, inches apart, the city symphony filtering through the cracked window, distant horns, laughter from the corner bar. Then, like a dam bursting, she closed the gap, her kiss fierce and forgiving, tasting of paint and pine from the wreath on her door. We collapsed onto the futon amid sketches of what-ifs, reclaiming each other with hands that knew every scar. It wasn't erasure, it was reckoning, acknowledging the hurts, vowing better. "No more apps," I whispered against her neck. "No more X's in the wings." She nodded, her laugh a fragile bird taking flight. "Just us. Messy, but ours." The party that weekend was our soft relaunch. We arrived arm in arm at the Palmer House, its grand ballroom dripping chandeliers and champagne flutes, colleagues toasting with knowing winks. Sarah from accounting pulled me aside. "You two glow like you swallowed the sun." Jordan, radiant in a velvet jumpsuit, her hand warm in mine, leaned in during the slow dance to murmur, "This is the yes I believe." As Nat King Cole crooned from the speakers, I held her close, the weight of our history a ballast, not a burden. We'd betrayed, conflicted, climaxed in chaos, but here, swaying under gilded ceilings, we chose grace. Humanistic, hard-won. Winter deepened, but so did we. Jordan's exhibit in February sold out, critics hailing her visceral exploration of queer resilience. I turned down a promotion that meant more travel, opting instead for a lateral move with hybrid days, time to build our life, brick by intentional brick. We talked marriage offhand, over brunches at Wishbone. Vegas elopement or family affair? Laughter laced the logistics. But the undercurrent was profound, a commitment forged in fire, tempered by tears. One blustery March morning, as we jogged the lakefront, her ponytail bouncing, my braids whipping like flags, she stopped, breathless, grabbing my hands. "Marry me, Brie." Not as a joke, as the punchline to every doubt we ever had. The wind howled approval, waves crashing like applause. I pulled her into a hug that tasted of salt and forever. Yes. 1,000 times. No punchline. Just truth. Yet even truths have their tempests. Spring unfurled in riotous color, tulips rioting along Michigan Avenue. Our engagement ring a simple gold band etched with intertwined vines, glinting like a secret under office fluorescence. We planned quietly, a small ceremony at the Lincoln Park Conservatory, greenhouse glass steaming with vows and vows exchanged amid orchids and ferns. Invites went out to a curated list, my mama beaming over cornbread recipes, Jordan's sister flying in from Seattle with cautious optimism. Felt solid. This future we'd sketched like one of her portraits. Bold lines, soft shadings, no eraser marks. But Elena, that persistent specter, resurfaced like a glitch in the matrix. It started innocuous, a wedding registry ping on her end, auto-shared via some algorithm cruelty. She messaged Jordan. Congrats. If you need a +1 spot, I'm around. Jordan showed me, laughing it off over mimosas at the Bristol. As if, but the seed lodged, watered by my lingering doubts. I'd wake sweating from dreams where Elena swept in, all charisma and history, unraveling our threadbare piece. It's nothing, Jordan soothed, her fingers tracing lazy circles on my back. But nothing has a way of ballooning in the dark. The real fracture came in May, during a girls' weekend in Saugatuck, Michigan's queer haven, dunes rolling like lovers' hips under dunegrass skirts. Jordan's art collective had a pop-up there, and we escaped the city grind for lake breezes and bonfires. It was idyllic at first, us in matching linen shorts, toes buried in sand, sharing a bottle of rose as stars pricked the velvet sky. But Elena, ever the opportunist, happened to be vacationing nearby, invited by mutuals, of course. She crashed the bonfire unannounced, guitar in tow, strumming Joan Baez tunes that tugged at Jordan's nostalgia strings. I watched from the fringes, firelight dancing on their faces, Elena's laugh low and throaty, Jordan's head tilting in that old, unguarded way. By midnight, as embers died to glow, I found them by the water's edge. Elena's arms slung casual around Jordan's shoulders, whispers lost to the lap of waves. Rage boiled up, hot as the August asphalt we'd fled. What the fuck? I hissed, storming over, the sand shifting treacherous under my feet. Jordan startled, pulling away. Bree, it's just catching up. Elena's harmless. Harmless? She's poaching my fiancé at our getaway. My voice carried, drawing stares from the circle. Elena smirked. That infuriating half-curl. Easy, tiger. No one's poaching. Joe can have friends. Friends don't I fuck like that. I shot back. The words venomous, born of every insecurity I'd swallowed. The fight spilled back to the cottage, a rented A-frame creaking under our fury. Jordan slammed the door, cheeks flushed. You're paranoid. Elena's ancient history. Why can't you let it go? Because history repeats when you let it. I paced the pine floors, heart pounding. You fell for her once. What's stopping you now? I'm the joke. Remember, the straight girl who said yes on a lark. Her eyes widened, wounded. That's not fair. I've chosen you, over and over. But this jealousy, it's poisoning us. She sank onto the bed, head in hands. Maybe we rushed. Maybe we're not ready. The words landed like a gut punch, stealing my breath. Rushed? After the therapy, the rings, the painstaking rebuild? I stormed out into the night, dunes swallowing my sobs, the lake a black mirror mocking my unraveling. Hours later, dawn breaking gray and unforgiving, I returned to find her packed, duffel by the door. I'm going home. Alone. We need space. Jordan. Please. No. Figure out if you love me. Or the idea of me. Because I can't keep proving it. She brushed past, leaving the echo of finality. The drive back was torture. Michigan blurring into Illinois flatlands. My engagement ring heavy as lead. Chicago swallowed me whole, work a mechanical haze. Friends tiptoeing with how's the wedding prep? Platitudes. Mama called from Inglewood. Baby, love don't fix itself. You gotta fight dirty sometimes. But how? Jordan went radio silent. Her socials a curated void of art shares and beach sunsets from Saugatuck. I threw myself into overtime, crunching numbers till my eyes burned. But the spreadsheets blurred with her face. Those green eyes now shuddered against me. Betrayal's echo chamber amplified every flaw. My sarcasm is cruelty. My ambition is selfishness. In a weak moment, I texted Marcus. Coffee? Old-time sake. And he met me at our old haunt, the Billy Goat under the Loop, where cheeseburger slinging was the only constant. He listened. All empathetic nods. His hand covering mine briefly. You deserve steady, Brie. If she's not it, the implication hung, tempting as siren song. But I pulled away. The touch wrong. Like wearing someone else's skin. Marcus wasn't the answer. He was the question I'd outgrown. The turning point came mid-June. A heat wave baking the city into submission. I biked to Jordan's studio unannounced. Sweat-soaked and desperate. The ring box clutched like a talisman. The door was ajar. Voices drifting out. Elena's, smooth as aged whiskey, laced with concern. You deserve better, Joe. Someone who doesn't second-guess. My blood iced. Peering through the crack, I saw them. Elena on the stool. Jordan at her easel. Brush paused mid-stroke. Tears carving tracks down her cheeks. But then Jordan set the brush down. Voice steady. No. Brianna's messy. Yeah. But she's mine. Our mess. She wiped her face. Resolve hardening. Thanks for being here. But I need to fix this myself. Elena sighed. Standing. Your funeral. Amor. And left? Heels clicking defeat. I burst in then. Collision of relief and recklessness. Jordan. She whirled. Eyes wide. Eavesdropping now? Classy. But there was no bite. Just bone-deep weariness. I came to fight. For us. I dropped to my knees. Ring box open. The band catching light like a plea. I was wrong. About Elena. About doubting. You're not a phase or a punchline. You're the plot twist that saved me. The woman who taught me love's not safe. It's seismic. Marry me. Still. Always. She knelt too. Fingers trembling as she traced the ring. You hurt me. Brie. Deep. I know. And I'll spend forever making amends. No jokes. No running. Just yes. Tears mingled as she slipped the ring on. Our foreheads touching in the sacred hush of her studio. Yes, she whispered. And it echoed like absolution. We made love there on the drop cloths. Surrounded by half-born dreams, slow. Reverent. Reclaiming every inch. It wasn't climax without cost. It was catharsis. The storm breaking into sun. The wedding was July 4th. Under conservatory palms heavy with humidity and hope. 50 souls witnessed. My auntie toasting with stories of black lesbian icons like Audre Lorde. Jordan's dad awkwardly proud in his bow tie. Vows poured out. Mine a litany of gratitudes. You saw me when I was blind to myself. Hers. You joked your way in. But loved your way home. Fireworks cracked overhead as we kissed. The city exploding in color. Mirroring the bloom in our chests. Years later. We'd laugh about it over porch swings in our Albany Park fixer-upper. Kids adopted. Eventually tumbling in the yard. Jordan's gallery thriving. My consulting gig flexible for family. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to character-building chapters. We'd chosen the humanistic path. Not perfection, but persistence. Love as verb. Fierce and flawed. In America's heartland churn, we'd carved our corner, two women. Once joking, now eternal.